Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Rich Walsh alongside Mark Kaboly from The Athletic, and we're going to be talking about the Steelers draft. So give us a call, 412-575-2600 on the Borders and Borders hotline. And also another hotline I want to talk about. It's the Ireland Contracting line, 1-800-NEW-ROOF. If you need a roof, make sure you call them, because I would, Mark Kaboly would. If you need a roof, make sure you call Ireland Contracting. They are the best in the business. And I know I got a couple tweets here about the Pirates. And we're going to be talking about the Buccos a little bit maybe later, but right now I want to get into the draft with Mark Kaboly. And Mark, we're a few days away, 5 days away. The Steelers could do there's probably what, a 2-position, 3-position maybe race for the first round.
Yeah, it all depends on how that falls. I think that's the big thing is, Rich, it's just going to be how that draft plays out in the first round of who they have the ability to get. And you hear all about the Devons. First of all, take Devin White and scratch him out, because he'll be gone by the time it even comes close to the Steelers picking. The question is the inside linebacker from Michigan, Devin Bush, can he get from past Denver at 10, Cincinnati at 11, Green Bay at 12. If that happens, then all of a sudden you're Kevin Colbert, you're on the phone, you're making calls, you're trying to see what it takes to get up there, because the last thing you want is Baltimore to jump ahead of them. However, if that doesn't play out, you're probably going to have your choice of any cornerback you want in the draft, and that's probably the route that probably would go.
Are you sold on Devin Bush? I mean, because before the Combine, he was projected to be a second rounder. He had an amazing Combine, but I mean, is he a guy that they talk about that can just play? You know, he's an athlete. It doesn't maybe reflect on what he did in college football or on the field.
What it is now is it's all speed. I mean, when you look at that position, it's changed so much, and you saw with Shazier, 5-6 years ago, if you have speed to go sideline to sideline, and if you're a 3-down linebacker, you don't have to take them off the field. You saw what happened with John Bostic at times last year. Teams create matchup problems when you have a slow linebacker on the field. If not, then you put a small guy and they run it. Steelers found that out the hard way last year. Devin Bush can stay on the field for all 3 downs. I mean, Mark Barron's a nice compliment. So, yeah, I think the speed, I mean, everything else they think you can teach him. Even if he has flaws here and there, coaches believe they can teach him. You can't teach at 3.5 speed or whatever he has, and that sideline-to-sideline ability. And then that's what, that's why his numbers jump so high in the draft. I mean, in the draft now, because of the Combine numbers.
You know, the one thing that I think, I was reading your breakdown on The Athletic here the last few days, and, I don't think that the Steelers move up in the first round. I think that they take what comes to them. I don't know if Bush comes to them. I'm thinking personally a quarterback, cornerback.
Quarterback if Roethlisberger doesn't sign, right?
Yeah, but I'm thinking, I think the direction that if you had to ask me to bet on it, I would bet cornerback in the first round.
It's just because you're not going to get, it's going to be very difficult for Devin Bush to get from, past those 3 teams of Denver and Cincinnati. Although Denver looks like they could be going quarterback, Cincinnati doesn't look like they want an inside linebacker, even though they need him. Green Bay's iffy, but after that, it's pretty wide open. Like I said before, if you get past 12, you're Kevin Colbert. I got 10 picks, and I even got another 3rd rounder next year. Let's start dangling some things out here and see if we can go up and get them. If we can't, and if he goes early, then you got the fallback plan, which is not a bad fallback plan of having the best corner, whoever you decided to be. I mean, in my mock draft, I went Greedy Williams, but Byron Murphy's up there as well.
That's who I think that they would take, would be Greedy Williams. But say Greedy Williams is there and Bush, you're saying no question Bush would be the guy that they would take.
I think they would go try to get Devin Bush at that point. I mean, I think it gets to the point if you get to 13, 14, they're going to try to go get him. If he's not there, then they'll go after the cornerback, which is not a fallback, not a bad plan.
All right, let's go out to David on the south side. What's up, David? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks for taking my call.
No problem. Thanks for calling.
I can understand that James and Brown are gone, and that's all I've been hearing all week about, getting a tight end. But they really need to work on, in my opinion, that 2nd and 3rd level of the defense. I mean, it's real questionable, and, what do you think?
Well, Yeah, they could use a tight end, but they got Vance McDonald, right? I don't think that is a priority. I think that they will address tight end at some point in the draft. That was my eye on the draft feature that I did today. They're never going to get the guy from Iowa. So then they got to
the second guy from Iowa, Noah Fant, that could fall to that point right there. But wasn't he talking about somebody on defense? He'd rather.
Well, then he said he'd rather see them get into the, it sounded like the second level of defense. So
yeah, I mean, the safeties are interesting. I mean, you could probably get one late in the first round. You probably wouldn't. At 20 would be too high, but you got Sean Davis in limbo right now. He may or may not sign, so you might not need this guy. You might do need this guy. So I think the safety's almost, out of the question right now at that point. But cornerback, you never have too many cornerbacks. Even if you got Steven Nelson, even if you got Joe Hayden. Joe Hayden's entering the final year of his contract. They're hoping to get something done here, but you never know how that works. And those guys, they fall off quickly. If you lose your speed, you're done.
And right now, Mark, I mean, when you look, if you break it down, you probably know better than me statistically, what's the percentage that they play 6 defensive backs or at least 5 defensive backs compared to their regular base defense?
I mean, you're looking 75 to 80% now in the league altogether. So, I mean, it's almost you need 3 defensive backs. I mean, Mike Hilton's a guy that's playing that slot now, and Steven Nelson did play that position, although he wasn't very good at it the first 2 years in the league. But you got to do what you got to do. Mike Hilton will be an unrestricted free agent, I believe, next year. So, it could be he could be out the door as well. So, like I said, you always get the cornerback if he's there. I mean, I think it's a 2-position race, and it almost looks like it's almost guaranteed going to be cornerback because the linebackers will be gone.
Yeah, and I mean, you look up the makeup of defenses now. I mean, I understand you talked about the importance of getting a guy to try to replace Ryan Shazier, but cornerback, a guy like Greedy Williams, I think would fit this defense perfectly if they drafted a guy like him. He'd have a year to maybe ease his way into it. But speaking of cornerback situation, what do you think? How do you think it's going to unfold this year for the Steelers? I mean, you have Cam Sutton, you have Artie Burns still out there. Do you think Artie Burns even makes the team this year? I think they still give him another chance.
Yeah, they have to. I mean, I think Artie Burns gets training camp to prove himself, and if he doesn't, he's a training camp casualty because he wouldn't be around next year anyways because he'd be in the final year of his deal. They're not going to pick up his 5th-year option. I believe it's due here in the next week or so. So they're not going to guarantee him $10 million for the season after that. So I think he gets training camp, and if he turns it around, I mean. But how Mike Tomlin talked in Phoenix at the owners' meeting, how Kevin Colbert talked, it wasn't very glowing of Artie Burns. So I don't think he's in their future much at all.
Now, Cam Sutton, that's a pretty intriguing player. I mean, because he could play corner. He could also help out in safety, too.
Yeah, that's the type of guys you need. You need guys that are, can play multiple positions. And he was a little disappointment last year. I mean, he's a guy that you thought was going to make the jump his second year, and he really didn't, not very much. And he especially after playing against guys like A.J. Green, and he played, I believe, the Patriots game that Jesse James catched, and he played pretty well. But he really didn't take that step forward this year at all. But he's another guy to play slot corner as well. And, guys get injured as well. I mean, the one thing you do need is you need competition. And if you get as much competition you can do, I mean, that's what makes coaches smile. They want that competition because it's going to make it better. All
right, we got a tweet from Calhammer. He said, who will the Steelers draft in the 1st or 2nd round? He said, write this name down, Chase Winovich. And that's the guy that we were talking about off camera here a little bit ago.
Not
the 1st round.
No. I'm well aware of Chase Winovich. I covered him since he was a little tyke in high school. I've had some interactions with him recently. What a tremendous human being,
Yeah.
He's a really nice kid. He would fit perfectly here because he's so fast with that quick first step. He can do that switch where they take defensive linemen, defensive ends, and move them to 3-4 outside linebackers. He is just a kid that just loves football and succeeds wherever he goes. I think he might go higher than we might all think, too. If you wait till the 2nd, you probably don't get him. It's that 3rd pick they got from Antonio Brown, he's pretty much gone. So you'd probably have to move up into the late 2nd round pick to be able to get him, but I'm all for that.
And maybe that's where they use their picks, moving up in the 2nd round instead of moving up in the 1st round to get a guy like this. I mean, I think he would be an ideal fit for the Steelers. Played under the great Bill Churpak at Thomas Jefferson, and grew up a Steelers fan. I mean, what else could you ask for from a guy?
Yeah, I mean, he's a pretty good player as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a guy he's an interesting interesting person that I think would fit in absolutely great here. And Bud Dupree, you don't know really what he's going to do here too, because he's entering the final year of his contract. They picked up his option, but if they don't sign him by September 9th, he's pretty much good as gone as well. So yeah, definitely Chase Winovich, I think, should be on that board. It's just a question. I think a lot of teams are probably thinking Chase Williams is a good late second value. So I don't think the Steelers are going to be the only one thinking that.
Yeah, I agree. You did say Chase Williams.
Oh, Chase Winovich, same difference.
You
weren't going to say anything, were you?
I was just going to let that one go. All right, we're taking your phone calls. We're going to try to talk Steelers draft. We have a ton of Pirates calls right now, but maybe we'll switch gears to the battle in Buccos, because I have Bucco fever. I'm always willing to talk about the Pirates. 402-575-2600. Back in a couple of minutes.